and welcome to Journey to Justice. I'm Eiko Kosasa, your host. Recently, I interviewed Ernie Libarios, a dedicated and popular academic counselor who has been with Leeward Community College since it opened. I focused on his work in the community, especially his ministry at the Halawa Correctional Facility. I began the interview by asking him where he was born and raised.
Well, my parents both are from the Philippines, and they came over as what they call sakadas. They were plantation workers. And my father first landed in Kohala plantation. And my mother was only 3 years old at the time when she came over. But they met, wait, let me go back on it. When they were in the Kohala plantation, they went on a strike. You know, the people, the Filipinos were feeling oppressed by the Lunas at that time. And so they went on strike, and then they started bringing these strike breakers. And many of the Filipinos were being put into these gunny sacks, and they were thrown into the, you know, the, what you may call it, the rivers that were
the canal. The irrigation canals. Yeah.
And a lot of them were tossed into the ocean, so they died. And so a lot of the Filipinos began to feel, hey, you know, if we continue striking, you know, we might end up more and more in the ocean. And if you're familiar with the Kohala plantation, those are deep cliffs, Yeah. And it's rumored that also some Kamehameha was buried there and they couldn't find him and all that kind of stuff. But that's how high the cliffs are.
Yeah.
So there was an exodus of Filipinos that went to Kona, and that's where my father followed there. He resided there, and he started working for the different coffee people, and finally ended up, you know, working on the ranch, and that's where he met my mom. And that's a story in itself, you know. Just to give you an idea, my mom was only 13 when she got married to my dad. And you know, by today's standard, that's, you know, you're in trouble, man. But you need to understand that at the time there was roughly about almost 500 Filipinos, single ones, to one female. And their longevity was, you know, wasn't long. They were 49 years old and they would die, you know.
Wow.
So they adapted to the situation on hand. And so my dad got married with my mom. She was only 13. And they had actually three children, you know, prior to my coming on board. Then my dad was working very hard on the ranch, and he wasn't getting promoted, so he was getting something like paid maybe $2 a day. And you know, for 25 years you're doing, so they decided, hey, let's go. My grandma decided to go and work in a plantation, so they moved to Powilo.
Wait, so your grandparents came too?
Yeah. Actually, my grandparents came with my mom.
That's right, with your mom. That's right. Okay.
Yeah. So they decided to move to the plantation in Powilo, which is the Hamakua coast. And that's where my mom followed my grandma, and we stayed in this multi-family situation where there was about 25 people living in the house, and you know, 3-bedroom house. But yeah, never felt crowded, because it was, in fact, I felt protected and loved in the whole thing. You know, and grew up in that way. And I grew up only speaking Filipino at that time. So when I went to school, I was born in Powilo on the plantation. And when I went to school in the beginning, I could only speak Filipino, so they thought I was retarded. And I was placed in this special ed. And I loved it, you know. I didn't have to study, we played all day long. I didn't realize I was paying a high price though in the end. And then after a while we decided, my father got paid for the first month, $60. He celebrated it. He wanted to put that $20, you know, into something where he could remember that all his life, you know. That.
Wow.
Yeah. So, But anyway, then went on, and after the war, my parents decided to move to Honolulu. And we came to Honolulu. We moved. My dad didn't have any education, so he started, working as laborer, rubbish picker, and all that. And then we moved and lived in all these ghetto areas, like Ivale right now, where they have the IHS. And Ala Park was our playground. We'd play there, and I would start my first job there, shining shoes, in the war. And then we moved to, my grandma wanted to go back to the Philippines, so they went back and wanted to tell my mom to go back to the Philippines because they kind of made money. So my dad said, yeah, we can go back, but we need to check with his older brother in Kona. So he went to Kona and talked to his brother. They were going to go back. My uncle said, no, he cannot go back because he didn't have enough money. So my dad asked him, how much money you got? He said, I get $35, saved all these 50 years. So he said, what about next year? He said, okay, we'll wait till next year. My dad said, okay, wait till next year. And my dad waited 35 years. He never went back, until, because my uncle couldn't make enough money. He had pride, Yeah. So meanwhile, when I was growing up, when you don't have goals, you don't have visions, by the way, we were very poor. We were kind of classified right now as, homeless, because we'd go from one coffee field to another and harvest and stay there. And by today's standards, definitely, we were homeless at that time, and agricultural workers.
Yeah.
So we never went back, but when you don't have that kind of vision, your life is upside down. And I was getting into all kinds of trouble at Konawaina. I went to high school there. I got suspended a couple of times for organizing gambling. Filipinos, hey, go first. Went there, and I guess it laid the foundation for me in terms of the law and how it can become cruel, or how it can lead you to reach these turning points in your life. And so when it was time for me to graduate, we were going to go, my friends and us, there was about 6 of us, we were going to join the Marine Corps. And we were ready to go, and my mother was supposed to sign my paper, but she wouldn't sign it because I was 17. And she said, we'll have to talk to Father Jackson, who was a Marino priest at the time in Kona. She talked to Father, and Father said, no, don't let him go in the Marine. He's going to get into trouble. So he said, what are you going to do then? He said, send him to college. And that's how it went. I told my mom said, Father Jackson said, you're going to college. So I told him, Ma, I got suspended from school how many times? And I went to go to school. Did you like me to go to school? He told me, yeah, you go to college. Either that or you can work coffee land. I said, no, I go to college. So that's how I went to college.
And where did you go to college?
St. Martin's. They sent me St. Martin's.
Where's that?
That's in Olympia, Washington. And I didn't realize it was an all-male school, and it was taught by these hooded monks over there.
Yeah.
Man, I went nuts over there. No women, all guys. And
cold?
Cold, yeah. Well, the first 2 weeks was warm, like this.
Yeah.
Oh my God, who said it was cold? And then it changed. Boy, my friend and I, who came from Marino, we met up there. But then these are turning points in my life too. I didn't realize that, the environment has a very strong impact on how you behave.
Yeah.
And from hating studying, I ended up, turning my life around. I didn't realize, because that school at that time, you pray. You pray when you get up, you pray when you eat, you pray when you go to the bathroom and all that kind of stuff.
It's like a monastery.
It was a monastery.
Wow.
Yeah, it's the Benedictines.
Ah.
And towards the end of the year, my life changed. I started changing. I started enjoying going to chapel And all my friends caught me in there. I thought, what you doing? I thought, nah, I'm sleeping and I'm not lying, you praying. Nah, come on, don't lie in church. I thought, you're right, I'm praying. And yeah, so that's how I changed a lot. And then we went back to Kona, and when I went back to Kona, my sister was going to another college also at Multnomah. In not Multnomah, but it was a convent also in Oregon. So she was going there. And when we went back to Kona, we had a bad crop. You know, my parents had a bad harvest, so he told me that, you know, Ernest, that we cannot send you guys back to school. I said, what? I said, yeah, can I? How come? She said, the coffee was bad this year. So he said, if you're not going to send me to school, Ma, I said, I'm going to quit, you know, because I've changed. He said, what? I said, Dad, I've been changed. Something will happen to me up there. And he said, this boy crazy, you know, every time you get, yeah, you got to send me to school. I said, what do you mean you changed? I said, I don't know, I like studying now. I understand what I study. It kind of puts me, you know, I get good grades. So I said, okay, let me talk to Father Jackson. So they call Father Jackson. He flies over from Honolulu, comes to our house, and they say, what? They say, Ernest, you changed. They, yeah, Father, I changed. You know what? Can I go back to St. Martin's because it costs too much money? Can I send your sister back to Oregon because it costs too much money? But this one school here, it just opened up. I said, yeah, what college? He said, they call them Shamanan. Oh, the for real? Yeah. Well, all boys. He said, no, this one co-ed. They don't get co-ed. So we went, my sister and I got financial aids, and we went there. And my sister ended up as the first female to graduate from Chaminade.
Wow.
And she's the first Filipino to graduate. And I was the first Filipino male to graduate from Chaminade.
Really? Oh,
yeah, but you know, these things, they sound, to me, it's very spiritual. It was guided, you know, otherwise I wouldn't have ended up here.
Yeah. But then what made you go to graduate school? Because that's one more step.
Yeah, because I started working. This is not a long story of what happened, but you know, I ended up, I was working at finance factors and made a lot of money working with them, and enjoyed it, but I was getting to be alcoholic, you know, because we just drink every night and we were all single. So my brother told me, hey, you know, you're getting cold, man. I said, what? You're getting cold. So I said, oh. So I said, I better leave the job. And so I left the job. And didn't know where to go, so I just took courses from UH Manoa up until a point where I got suspended from UH because of low grades. So they expelled me from UH Manoa. And then I started looking for jobs. I ended up finally at Job Corps, Hawaii Job Corps Center. They just opened up, and my my commanding officer at the time told me if I wanted to work there. I said, yeah. Applied a good job. I got hired there working, and I started enjoying working with these young at-risk kids because they're kind of like me, huh? They all look like me and all that. But I didn't want to stay up there too long because I was getting burnt out. You know, you sleep in the cabinets, and all the kids come every night, and after a while, you don't have time to yourself. So I left, and I started working as an outreach worker in YNI, and that's where I learned a lot about the at-risk kids. We were running projects with unwed mothers and all that kind of, and the dropouts. So I think that's where my heart started to grow, you know, towards working with the disadvantaged. And then I ended up in Farrington. They heard about me, so Farrington recruited me to be a counselor there. And then when I got, after a while, then Leeward opened up. So Leeward called me, and they said they needed somebody to work with, you know, with the minorities and disadvantaged. I said, what? Community college? What is that? They said, it's a new thing. It's a new thing. I said, all right, let me try it. You know, it's a college. Oh. So and that's how I ended up at Leeward. And then, of course, I found out after a few years that if I get my master's, you know, my pitch would go up. And I just got married too. Right? So I said, okay, where can I get my master's? And the only opening was at Manoa. So I talked to the grad school and said, look, we expelled you. You cannot, go into the program. I thought, that was a different person there. I'm changed. I really knew I'm different. They said, oh, how can we believe you? I'll show you. And she was very kind. I think it was Sumi, I think her name was. I said, okay, we'll give you a chance. Yeah, I'll show you. I'll make A's. She said, okay, we'll give you a chance. And give me a break. It wasn't for that, I wouldn't have finished a master's program. I mean, I cracked my okoli, but it was okay. Yeah.
Wow.
And that's how I ended up at Leeward.
Yeah, yeah. But I know your wife and yourself, you had at-risk youth, some kind of program. Right?
Yeah, we had the Project Rise program, and it kind of started with at IA High School. My wife was very involved with the at-risk kids, and especially the ones from Halawa. The Halawa kids would somehow, there was a good combination, and so she would do the Project Rise at, self-development there, and then they would send it to my class here at Leeward, and so we would exchange in that. Oh. And several times we did projects with the city and county for the at-risk, and so we got national awards. She got national awards for the whole thing too, for working with the disadvantaged. And it was kind of unfortunate in a sense too. Sometimes things happen. Like there was a time when she was working with the church a lot with the kids, and working with these disadvantaged kids. The newspaper put a whole article on her on the front page of how they were working, and how it was working. And then she did work with the church too. The following week after they put her in the front page, she dies. And so they put her again in the front page, same picture, but showing that, that she had died very young, only after 17 years at Leeward, at IA High School.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah.
But yeah, those programs was getting all NEA awards and all that kind of stuff.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to ask you about, I know you do a lot of different community work, but specifically about your ministry that you do in Halawa. I don't know if you want to back up and explain a little bit about. Yeah.
I think what had happened when my wife died, you kind of look at God and you say, hey, what's going on? You should take me, not her. I mean, she was, very saintly and all the time. But then, you talk to God, at least I did, and I was angry, and I told God, I don't know the reason for you doing this in my life, because my kids were just young, yeah? Nikki was only a senior, and Jason, my youngest, we had 2 children, was only 7th grade. And I told God, I'm really angry with you. When I die and face you, you better get a good answer, because I'm hurt. But don't be mean to me. And then I told him, I'll meet you one day, and then we'll find out, And then I just went through life, and somehow I ended up in the Deacon program. These different people that came into my life and told me, maybe you should go work with the church and do the church work. So I said, okay, I applied for the deaconship program. I wasn't, the kind very strong at that, but at least in my mind, I told, I said to myself, if I die and you call me and I meet you at the gate and you tell me, so I called you and how come you turned me down? Why should I let you in? So I said, I'm gonna cover bases. I'm gonna apply and let them turn me down. So I went to the process, and I told him straight out, I think you guys should turn me down, but I'm gonna play my cards right, but I don't like to end up below, So then they told me, no, we're gonna take you in. They took me in, and during the course of time, I ran across a lot of the prisons and some of my friends, that we were running around in Kona, as I pointed out. And I started having these voices sometimes coming to my mind. like a lot of my friends, we were running around in gangs, and I was about 5 years younger. I was the youngest usually in the gang. And there came a time when they got caught, you know, we got caught for stealing and all that kind of stuff. And they were going to be sent to prison, and they were going to be sent to reformer school. And so they came up and they told me, you know, we're going to be sent and for the crime that we did. So then I know, what about me? He said, no, we never talked, we never squeal on you. I said, why? So they said, because you don't match. I said, what? He said, you don't match it. You're not like us. He said, you're different, and so we're gonna attack. It's not fair. I said, yeah, but you know, you get one different thing.
Oh,
so they went to prison, they went to reform school, and I was sent, you know, I was saved. I don't know why. But I felt relieved too. I thought, hey, up to you then.
Yeah.
And so when I come back to this Deacon program, I started remembering all of them, and I said, I'll take a chance. I'm going to help the Halawa guys. And so I got involved. You know, you pass through all the tests and all that. And you know, I started enjoying working with these Halawa guys because they look like me, huh? And I had similar experience. It's the only thing I didn't get caught. I mean, I didn't get caught. The guys saved me from going in there. And so we're doing a lot of the prison ministry. Well, we're using the Catholic format. Right now we're using a lot of songs and scriptures and all that, and they love it, you know. And I thought, man, you guys let me. And we have the largest, by the way, the Catholics.
Yeah.
I don't know what went wrong, but we got the most activity. For instance, last year was about 1,500 activities that we did at the prison.
Because you go every week, right?
Every month.
Every month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and I asked them, hey, you like do one? Make one, you know, chorus.
Yeah.
They say, yeah, they like sing, you know. They can sing, man, I tell you. And then you get the, you know, kind of the gay guys in the back.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're singing and you can like go dance hula while we sing it.
So
yeah. But we do also look at God and how God is influencing their lives, you know, and how they're very holy, a lot of them.
Yeah.
And so I guess this ties in with your project, you know, the ones we're going to do the re-entry program, all these different things that came, somehow Washington and the diocesan people came.
Yeah. But just to back up a little bit, what does a deacon do? What is a deacon, like a minister?
Yeah. Kind of like they have, in order before you become a priest, you go through a whole process, and in the end you end up as a deacon, and then you either a permanent deacon or, you know, a transition deacon. From the transition deacon, then you become a priest.
Oh,
but we're permanent deacon because we're married, you know.
Yeah. Oh,
so
okay. Yeah.
And we do everything except confessions.
Oh.
Yeah. And,
so how many of you go to Halawa?
For my team, we've got about 5 or 6 of us. We go but the whole total team, I don't know how much we got more than that. But every week, it's being coordinated at St. Elizabeth Church.
Oh.
But our team of Resurrection of the Lord, we got the largest, you know, so far, you know, as a team.
Yeah.
And God has blessed us on that.
Yeah. But I know you were saying earlier that this afternoon you were going to do something. Yeah,
my friend Clay Kimoto, who is an attorney, and he was with the Public Defender's Office for about 17 years. Somehow he ran across these people. It's a husband and wife team. Yeah, both of them were incarcerated, and now they're at Nanakuli, and they bought a farm, and they're going to farm it so that they can have people who are coming out of the prison, they could work for them or they could help them, you know, as a kind of a transition experience back into society. So I'm going to look at that with him. And hopefully we can tie it in, with a higher education, because it becomes a dead end, a lot of times.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to put down the egg, but unless you really commit yourself to it, in Hawaii it's hard,
Yeah, there's not too much land to do
you gotta connect
stuff.
it with higher education.
Yeah. Okay.
So we're gonna look at that. Yeah.
That's good. So I know you do a lot of other kinds of community work. Do you want to talk about any of that?
Most of my community work has been involved with the what you may call it, with the church.
With the church,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'll do a lot of things with the church. And then the other thing we're looking at is that we're doing the Luminai scholarship program. It's the largest program in the state of Hawaii that offers scholarships for Samoans. And we've got these high-profile Samoans that are on our committee. We've been there for the last 10 years. Like, we got the 2 Samoan judges, a lot of lawyers, and couple of doctors, Samoan doctors. It's unusual, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they raise scholarships. We have a scholarship fund raised once a year, and then that money is being used for. We take most of the top Samoan scholars, like mentor them. They all were part of the whole thing.
Oh, wow. Okay. As the interview is coming down to a close, is there anything that you want to add or say?
Yeah, I'd like to say that, for the inmates that are coming, hopefully I can, the model that we have is a kind of counseling model, it's a transitional model that addresses the issues for the incarcerated coming back. It's almost the same thing that we used for the Youth Challenge program. But with the Youth Challenge program, when we used that model, got national awards in the League of Nations, or League of Colleges.
Yeah.
And we can use the same thing, I think, here, but it's going to be a little more different because the issues of older, the older incarcerated have different issues. Especially inclusions, these are different things. So I'm glad that we have you around to be the foundation.
But you also it's not with this prison issue, but I remember last week we talked about how you wanted to look at, you wanted to do some kind of research with the Filipino communities back at the, during the 30s. So can you explain a little bit about that?
There's 2 things that we're looking at. One is the influence of Filipinos in the coffee industry. They don't seem to be visible, but they played a very important part.
Yeah.
And when the exodus that they took over, from Kohala, I was talking to you about.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of them was there, and they provided the labor. There was thousands of them providing the labor for the coffee industry, and many of them died in the fields, because they were single, and it's documented that the donkeys would come and eat them, or even wild dogs would come and eat them, but they haven't been recognized. And so when I went to college, a lot of them was telling me, at least, somebody has to tell a story about what happened to them. And Ernest, I was only the 2nd Filipino guy to go to college, from Kona. Nobody went to college at that time.
Yeah.
So I hear them. So we're going to do it with a couple of people from UH Mono are going to help me do that. The other one is we're looking at the executions of Filipinos by the court system, and showing about 98% that were executed by the state of Hawaii were Filipinos. So we're looking at least Clay is looking at how to this racial profiling that occurred, and hopefully if we can prove that, then we can use the funds, like what the Japanese used for the internship kind of stuff. We can use that for an endowment for Filipinos, because very few monies are available for Filipinos.
This would be important history because people don't know about, like you're saying, the execution of Filipinos, or even the state of Hawaii doing anything like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that is going to be a kind of an earth-shattering
Yeah.
event if it does occur, and I think it will. We'll be able to do that.
Yeah.
But it takes a lot of volunteers to help.